أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد والثناء لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين المنتجبين، لا سيما بقية الله في العالمين، روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا، حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. For the hastening and the return of our Imam, recite the salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
We are here, my dear brothers and sisters, as the brother mentioned, in order to commemorate the anniversary of the Shahada of our Imam al-Hussein Salamullahi alayhi. We are here because the month of Muharram marks the anniversary of the climax of the movement of Imam al-Hussein. The movement of Imam al-Hussein, which started in Mecca in the month of Rajab, started in Medina in the month of Rajab, moved on to Mecca, and on the 9th of Dhul-Hijjah, the Imam moved towards Karbala, and in the month of Muharram, it reached its climax, which was the Shahada of the Imam on the 10th of Muharram, the day we know as Ashura. The movement of the Imam, which was a movement that was the savior of Islam in its entirety, the savior of the content and the essence of Islam, was Imam al-Hussein. Had it not been for the movement of the Imam, had it not been for what we can call and refer to as the revolution of our beloved Imam al-Hussein, not only would there have not been a Shia school of thought, it's not an exaggeration to say that had it not been for the revolution of the Imam, we would not have what we know as Islam today, except for maybe a name. As the Imam said, when Yazid came to power, if this is going to continue, وَعَلَى الْإِسْلَامِ السَّلَامِ, this is going to be the end of Islam. We are here to commemorate this Imam and this movement and this revolution with the fruits that it has had and it's continuing to bear throughout the time, up to today. We can't go over that history. That's a different topic. It's not the topic of our discussion. To go over and to explain that this is not an exaggeration, that this is a reality, that the Imam truly saved the message of the Holy Prophet from being changed completely, and eventually only a name of Islam remaining, such that we see amongst some of the other religions. What we find today of Christianity and the practices compared to what it truly was, one can very truly argue that it's not much more than just a name that remains. We are here to commemorate that. The commemoration of Imam al-Hussein salamullah alayh itself has got plenty of fruits, has got plenty of effects, has had plenty of effects on people throughout the history that we have seen. One of the effects of the commemoration of Imam al-Hussein is that it saves the souls of the individuals who have something to do with this commemoration, whatever it may be. This has been experimented and experienced over and over and over. We have hadith. Try to shed tears for the beloved grandson of the Holy Prophet, because that's going to forgive you of your sins, and it's going to create in you a passion towards religion. It is going to create in you a love towards the Imam, which is going to be towards the Imam from the perspective of him being the representative of the religion. It will cause us to want to be like him, an individual that practices what the Imam likes. It has that effect. As youth, I remember, sometimes we would see, it's very common in all communities. Back in Washington, we had some people that only came around in Muharram for different reasons, partially because they lived far away, because they had work, different reasons. As youth, it was not very understandable. We expected everybody to come to the center year-round, and it didn't make too much sense. And then some of the people that came didn't seem to be too very religious and practicing. So one of the questions that we always had, and one of the comments that we many times made, was, why are the doors of these majalis open to such people? Why should this happen? It has a negative effect. Let's try to have this gathering of people a little more practicing, and let's restrict it. If you don't want to practice certain things, you're not welcomed here. This was a comment, a thought that came to mind. And as youth, we would discuss this. Some of the ulama, on the other hand, said, no, that's not the right approach. And over the time, we learned that this is very, very true. Said, allow the people, whoever, those who are not practicing, those who have a very, very small connection with the religion, they have enough to bring them into the majalis, allow them to come. 1 second, 1 tear for the Imam may change their entire life. And it does. Believe me. Because we've experienced that. We've seen people helping out in the majalis, participating. 1 second, one thing that is said that is going to change the course of one's life. As the Holy Prophet of Islam has said, in al-Husayn, Misbahul Huda wa Safinatul Najat. Imam al-Husayn is the lantern of guidance, and he is the ark of Savior. This is very, very true. Let's try to get this aspect of the movement of the Imam. Let's try to use these nights of Muharram to, inshallah, get closer to the Imam. Let's try to create a culture out here. Whoever creates a sunnah hasana, a tradition that is a noble one, a good one, whoever is the starting point of that, as long as that sunnah continues amongst people, that individual is going to be receiving rewards. The brother talked about some of the instances of trying to develop the culture of the love of the Ahlul Bayt, especially the love of Imam al-Hussein in the month of Muharram. This is a very, very noble cause. Whoever is part of that, whoever can use their art in poetry, in writing articles, in any other way to create this culture, they're going to be rewarded. We have some of the ulama, after all the years of studies, Hadith says, the ink of a scholar, one of the reports that we have, the ink of the pen of a scholar is more valuable than the blood of a shaheed. After many, 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 many years of studies, some of the ulama, through the understanding they developed from the ahadith, they came to the point that they longed for the ability to be able to cause the people to shed a few tears for Imam al-Hussein because of the effects that it has. I don't like to quote dreams on the minbar because they're not hujjah, they're not the source where we derive Islam from. However, since this is backed by a hadith, it won't hurt. One of the ulama had a dream of a setting where the Ahlul Bayt were around, and the respect that the Imam and the Ahlul Bayt, the Lady Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha, gave was to the person who was reciting poetry in order to cause the people to cry. And it caused envy in this alim, in this scholar. And he decided to have a session even once in his lifetime to say a few words to cause people to shed some tears. This is very, very valuable. But the revolution of the Imam, the movement of the Imam did not only move, does not only have an effect to change individuals spiritually. It had an enormous impact and has continued having this enormous impact on people, on societies, on nations. Whoever has decided to benefit from that throughout the course of time. Any true victorious movement amongst the followers of the Ahlul Bayt has always taken lessons from the story of Imam al-Hussein. The recent example that we can talk about, something that we're all familiar with, at different extents, depending on how much we've read up on it, was the movement led by the student of Imam al-Hussein, Imam al-Khomeini. May Allah bless his soul. The movement, the Islamic Revolution, which led to a victory in the Islamic Republic of Iran, was a movement that we can consider the movement and the story of Imam al-Hussein as a glowing sun, and this revolution is just a ray of that sun. The movement of Imam Khomeini was a movement that the thought behind this movement was from Imam al-Hussein. What caused Imam Khomeini not to be able to stand and be silent and remain silent in the face of oppression, the different forms of oppression that the Muslim Ummah was facing, especially that of Iran, was the movement of Imam al-Hussein. Hayhat minna dhillah. That's the slogan of Imam al-Hussein. Hayhat minna dhillah. The leader of this movement learned his lesson from Imam al-Hussein. When he told people that they need to come out and they need to be responsible, they need to sacrifice, all these were lessons from Imam al-Hussein. The way that the Imam Khomeini, may Allah bless his soul, the way he gathered the people, he educated the people that caused this revolution was again through the teachings of Imam al-Hussein. It was in Muharram. There's a famous saying of Imam Khomeini, may Allah bless his soul, where he said, everything that we have is from Muharram and Safar. Everything that we have. Had it not been for that, this wouldn't have happened. None of it would have happened. Every year during Muharram, when people got together, the students of Imam Khomeini, all the scholars, and all of the people who were responsible that had not studied as scholars, took advantage, benefited from the story of Imam al-Hussein, benefited from the message of Imam al-Hussein, used the platform of Imam al-Hussein to distribute and spread the translation of the message of Imam al-Hussein for that particular time. That's what had happened. That's why the regime, the Pahlavi regime in Iran, was very, very sensitive during the time of Muharram. Extremely sensitive. For a time they even banned any type of procession on the streets in Muharram. They were afraid. They were afraid of the outcome of these processions, the majalis, because they realized the effects that it has on the people. After the revolution succeeded, or during the process even, what caused the people to be able to push this message, push this revolution, push this movement forward, what gave it the fuel, the energy, the motivation, the ability to move forward, was Imam al-Hussein sallallahu. During the 8-year war, the imposed war, I don't know how many of you are familiar with that, how much your knowledge goes. It was a proxy war that the entire globe, we can say, all those who had any form of power, the East and the West, gathered together and used Saddam Hussein to have and wage a war against the Islamic Republic, to destroy it. And they thought they were going to be successful within a week or two at most. What caused, what gave the ability for people on sanctions? No one would sell warfare. They wanted to buy barbed wire, for God's sake. This is not weapons. These are not weapons. It's just barbed wire. They had to go through 3 or 4 different routes to buy something that everybody was able to buy for a much, much less price. They had to buy it for quadruple the price. They were on sanctions. The infrastructure was destroyed. Nobody would give them technology. The planes didn't have technicians. Loads and loads and loads of problems. 8 years of resistance against that. Until not only did they not lose, but they were victorious, was Imam al-Hussein. The names of the battles were chosen by the names of the Ahlul Bayt. The word that begun the battle, the operation, were the names of the Ahlul Bayt. It was either Ya Zahra, it was Ya Hussein, it was Ya Mahdi, it was these names. Ziyarat Ashura was a must. Was a must. The soldiers, the warriors in the battlefronts. Ziyarat Ashura, if you didn't have it, then you wouldn't be there. On a regular basis. On their shirts, you would read behind them that this person is Musafir Karbala. This person is a traveler wanting to go towards Karbala to Imam Hussein. Anytime they wanted to go, the preparation for battles was the memory of Imam Hussein. Beating their chests, calling upon the name of Imam al-Hussein, shedding tears for Imam al-Hussein. The mothers that sent their children to the battlefronts. They would have one child go, one son go, fight, become shaheed. They would send the second one. Second one becomes shaheed, third one, fourth one. There are mothers with 5 or 6 shaheed. And they said, who are we if Imam Hussein gave his Aliyin al-Akbar? We're not supposed to give our children in the way of Islam? I've seen clips of mothers crying because the government, due to the propaganda, they were saying that the Islamic Republic is using children. I've seen footage of mothers crying because they're not allowing their child to go to the war fronts because the child is 13 years old. She is crying, her son is crying, he wants to go as well. This was the message of Imam al-Hussein. They would talk about Qasim on those nights. If Qasim says, am I worthy of Shahada on the night of Ashura? Qasim was younger. There's a clip, I don't know if any of you have seen it. There's a brother who has been wounded. A bomb or a bullet, something has gotten into him. He's very weak on the ground. People are trying to help him out. And in his own world, you can see that he's not fully conscious, but he's saying these things. He's saying, who are we? What value does our life have? If Imam Hussein gave his life in the way of Allah, we shouldn't give our lives? The message of Imam al-Hussein is the cause. As I said, it's like a glowing sun, that this is only a ray of that sun. For whomever tried to benefit from the movement of Imam al-Hussein. This movement of Imam Khomeini, which as we said is a ray of the movement of Imam al-Hussein, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. Despite the dislike, the hatred, the animosity of all the Western and Eastern countries and powers against the Islamic Republic, because of the essence of it being derived from the movement of Imam al-Hussein. This has had results in the region. You're seeing the continuation of this stream is starting to expand, my dear brothers and sisters. The entire region is on the move. Have you noticed that? It's not the Islamic Republic of Iran only now that is learning from that message. It grew. In Lebanon, after the message of Imam al-Hussein came as part of the resistance, this legendary power in the Middle East, the Zionist regime, is kicked out in the year 2000. In the year 2006, they get a good whip by the people who are learning from the message of Imam al-Hussein. This continuous movement, my brothers and sisters, has created an atmosphere in the region. Don't think that what is happening in the recent times, which they refer to over the past few months, we didn't have this last year in Muharram, what they refer to as the Arab Spring, because they're afraid to say, and you learn this from between the lines, by reading between the lines, even in their own words, that this is an Islamic spring, not an Arab spring. How do you read between the lines? Look at what is happening and look at how they've covered it and what they're saying themselves. The initial start of this new, as I said, this is a continuation. Don't think it's separate from it. If the people didn't have this motivation, if the people didn't think that this is going to bear fruits, if the people didn't see the precedents before them, if the people hadn't seen the effects of faith, they wouldn't have had this empowerment. The initial spark of this recent event was in Tunisia. When they overthrew bin Ali, and then Egyptians started, and then you have people in Yemen, and then you have people in Bahrain, you have people in Libya. All these different movements started to happen. They called it the Arab Spring. But interestingly, when you look at their coverage, they're saying that these people are gathering in Salatul Jum'ah. Why is it Salatul Jum'ah if it's an Arab thing? Why is it that they gather for Salat? Why is it that in these movements the women are starting to wear more hijab? Why is it in Tunisia that the people that are activists on the streets are starting to wear hijab more often than before? Why is it that you hear the words Islam so many times? They had to hide this. They just mentioned this in the form of, we are afraid that the Islamists, as they call them, are going to come to power. They are noticing this. They're realizing that that's what the effect is. They're realizing that that's actually what the movement is all about. In the elections in Tunisia, if you've been following the news, one of the Islamist, as they call it, movements and parties got the most seats. That's a coincidence? In Egypt, the recent movement after the original revolution, this recent movement was about some of the restrictions that they had put on the elections about the Islamic activities and Islam being a slogan. They said you need to remove that. This is the result of the movement of Imam al-Hussein. Recently, the result of the translation of that by Imam Khomeini, may Allah bless his soul. We have a lot of debt to this man for what he has done. Interestingly, Ayatollah Khomeini, may Allah bless him with life, inshallah, he predicted, and this was something that I know most of the people that I know of, myself and others, plenty of people that I knew, did not really see coming. At the beginning of this movement in the Muslim world, Ayatollah Khomeini predicted that this is not going to remain in the Muslim world. This is going to be leading towards protest on the streets in the heart of Europe. It took about a month after that prediction for that to happen. And the next step was, not only in Europe, you have the Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street movement. Brothers and sisters, do not see these as isolated incidents that are irrelevant. This is not the case. This is the awakening of the people of the world, listening to the call of their fitrah at different levels. For those who've already received the message of Islam, it is translating to them chanting the slogans of Islam again and starting to revive that. For those who haven't been open to that, have not received that, the message of the fitrah, the same message of hayhat minna dhillah, that oppression is wrong, this is being said in the Western countries even by the people. They're starting to realize how much oppression their governments have committed against the people of the world and their own people. And they want to change. This is very important. brothers and sisters. It's very extremely important for us from two perspectives to follow this up, wake ourselves up a bit, not allow this information to be given to us the way those who've closed their eyes of their fitrah want to translate it to us. One reason why this is very important, the recent events are very important, and we're going to discuss things that are related. One reason is the saying of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he said, "Man asbaha wa lam yahtam bi umur al-muslimin falaysa bi-muslim." The message of Imam al-Hussein was, you need to be worried about what happens in Damascus. I'm sitting here in Medina. If the imposed Khalifa of the Muslims in Damascus is someone corrupt, I have got to be responsible here. I have got to be aware of what is going on here. And one of the things that Imam al-Hussein really got onto was people that didn't really care. The message of the Holy Prophet was this, that whoever wakes up in the morning and is not worried about the affairs of the Muslims is not a Muslim. This is very important. You can't say I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, and that's going on in Egypt, in Bahrain, in Libya, in Yemen, in other regions, in what's called Saudi Arabia, which inshallah that name changes. We can't say that. This is related to us. Not only what is happening in the Muslim world, what is happening globally is extremely important to us. For the second reason especially. And that is, we need to wake up and realize we have a living Imam that we are awaiting is coming. If there's anything that is called the signs of the coming of the Imam, it is the awakening of the hearts of the people. Sometimes, I don't know if we have this in this community or not, you go to some communities, they ask you, who is Sufyani? How do you say, okay, there's going to be this guy called Sufyan. Who is the Dajjal? What is the Dajjal? Is it the propaganda? Is it the TV? Is it the mainstream media? Is it this? Is it this person? Is it the other person? A lot of wild guess. Who is the Khurasani? Is it Ayatollah Khamenei? Is it this person? Is it the other person? I don't know if you've seen the Rivals. All these questions come about the signs of the coming of the Imam, which there are mention of some of them in the Ahadith. But through the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, what we learn is missing is not someone called Sufyani. That's only like a sign. You know, when you're traveling, you're getting close to Cape Town. The reality of Cape Town and the true signs of getting to Cape Town are the signs of the city itself. But then you have little boards there saying Cape Town, how many kilometers or miles. I don't know which one you go by. Metric and non-metric. That's just like a sign there. That's not the essence of the readiness of the people. That's not the scene in which the coming of the Imam is going to happen. The scene in which the coming of the Imam is going to happen is the readiness of the hearts of the people to accept that leadership. Have you seen the movements even out there in the West? Look at all the movements in the Muslim world. Look at them in the West. They're all saying, we don't have a leader. They've given up on their leaders. The people in the Muslim world, no individual or leader started this in these countries. As I said, if we want to look at the background of how this is happening, there's analysis that needs to be made very clearly the movement of Imam Khomeini is a very, very important factor there. That's seen even by the Westerners. However, pinpointing one individual as the leader of this movement in Egypt or in Tunisia or in Libya or in Bahrain or in Yemen, this is not something that you can do because there is no leader. In the Occupy Wall Street movement, you can go on their sites, occupywallst.org, check it out yourself. When you read about them on the site, it says this is a movement without a leader. They state that as a fact. The hearts are getting ready. I don't know. We don't know if this is actually going to be leading to a readiness that will cause the return of our Imam. We don't know that. But we hope that. And we pray that that is the case. But in order for that to happen, my dear brothers and sisters, we have got to increase our awareness. We need to spend a little bit of time trying to understand the objectives, the goals, the problems, the true problems. Only then are we going to be able to ready ourselves and help get other people ready as well. If we have the wrong motives involved for the reason why we want to change, that's what the people are asking for. That's what we're all asking for. If we're part of the awakening. Some of us, unfortunately, aren't even realizing that there needs to be change. For those of us who realize there needs to be change, what is that change that is required? What is the objective of causing this change? What are we trying to get to? What are we trying to remove and get rid of? If we have the wrong motives, the wrong reasons, the wrong objectives, then the leadership is not going to find a following, and therefore that coming of the Imam, the leader, is going to be postponed again. The Imam has always been ready. Keep this in your mind. This is a famous saying, I think nowadays. Everyone is starting to realize this, at least verbally stating this, that we are not waiting on the Imam is waiting on us. That's what the reality of the story is. He's waiting for the people to be ready. If the readiness of the people of today is like the people of Kufa towards Imam Hussein, their objectives are at that level. What they're looking for is just a semi-better life, a little more money. Not seeing that some people are taking more money than them. They want that to change. If these are our objectives, that's what we're working towards, then the Imam is not going to come. That's not the readiness. We can assure ourselves and all those who are part of this awakening, of this movement, is going to end in a disaster. It's not going to end in any progress or any victory. Because the objectives were wrong in the first place. The goals were set in the wrong direction. The change that was intended was wrong. And that's what we're going to try to discuss over the course of these nights. There are important teachings that Islam has that we need to open our eyes towards. Those that pertain to our vision of the Islamic ideal society and the problems that the societies today have and what we need to remove, and those that pertain to our individual lives, which are not separate. These two are not separate. And we'll try to, inshallah, discuss that. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. صلى الله عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة وما أودع الرسالة ومختلف الملائكة ومهبط الوحي وخزان العلم. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, my beloved Holy Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you. It was in your homes that the angels of revelation brought down that revelation to our beloved Prophet. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you. Angels used to come to you day in and day out. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Sallallahu alayka ya أيها الشهيد بكربلاء عطشانا. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, my beloved Imam al-Hussein, my beloved oppressed Imam, the Imam that was slaughtered by the shores of the Euphrates while his mouth was dry of thirst. Sallallahu alayk. The first of the shuhada of the movement of Imam al-Hussein is the cousin of Imam al-Hussein, Muslim ibn Aqil, the ambassador of the Imam to Kufa. The Imam sent Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa. He said, "Oh cousin, these people have written me letters saying that come to us, we'll give everything to have you with us. Our trees have borne fruit. They're waiting for you to come. Cousin, I want you to go and see how truthful and loyal these people are." Muslim ibn Aqil went to Kufa. 18,000 people have been recorded to have pledged allegiance to Muslim ibn Aqil. Muslim wrote a letter to Imam al-Hussein, "Ya Aba Abdullah, the people are loyal. Make your way to Kufa as quick as you can." By the time the letter of Muslim got to the Imam and he decided to leave, things had changed in Kufa. Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad came to Kufa. Through the threats and bribery of the people, Eventually, those 18,000 people started to disappear. It's been reported that one night Muslim ibn Aqil was leading prayer in the masjid. The masjid was filled with people. The enemies came and started spreading rumors about people coming to attack them. Eventually people started to leave. At the end of the salat, Muslim was left with a handful. He started walking in the streets of Kufa. Eventually those few even left Muslim. He ended up late at night wandering about in the streets of Kufa. He sat down outside of the door of a house. A lady, a noble lady, one that had love for Amir al-Mu'mineen from the time that Amir al-Mu'mineen was in Kufa. The lady Taw'a opened the door and said, "Oh man, what are you doing out here? Don't you have a house to go to? It's late at night, the streets are not safe." Muslim said, "Where do I have to go? I'm gharib, I'm lonely in this city, this is not my city." "Who are you?" He said, "I'm Muslim ibn Aqil, the ambassador of Imam al-Hussein." And she said, after bringing water, "Why don't you come inside, bless my house with your presence?" Muslim went in. The lady said, "I hope my son doesn't come home." She tried to hide Muslim ibn Aqil. Later on, when her son came home, he heard the whispers of dua and salat. "Mother, who is it in our house?" "Oh son, don't worry about it." He went and investigated and saw it was Muslim ibn Aqil. He notified the officials. They came and ambushed Muslim ibn Aqil. He took out his sword, being a Hashimi. The bravery of the children of Abu Talib was there. He fought the people, but they had ambushed him from above the roofs. They started throwing stones at the Muslims. They started throwing fire at the Muslims. Eventually, Muslim sword fell. They took him to Darul Imam. His mouth was bleeding. Muslim asked for some water. His hands being tied, he didn't have the opportunity to clean his mouth. He put the water to his mouth. The cup got filled with the blood. It's haram to drink blood. And he set it away. They said that they wanted to behead him and throw him from above the building of Darul Imam. The one last word that Muslim ibn Aqil had was, "Umar ibn Sa'd, I want you to send someone to my cousin Imam al-Hussein to say, Ya Aba Abdullah, don't come to Kufa. If you come here, the people will betray you. Ya Aba Abdullah, I apologize to your women and children. I apologize to the ladies Zainab. I apologize to the children Sukaina and Ruqayyah. I wasn't able to write a letter to tell you not to come to Kufa. Sallallahu alaykum. يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم بالزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها بك يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى محبة أوليائك. We ask you, Ya Allah, by the right of the Ahlul Bayt, by the right of the tears that were shed